Alright guys, so we're back again today, and I do apologise first of all for the lack of content over the past 3 weeks or so. For anyone that's watched the last video that I posted, there's a cyclone coming through in Queensland where I live, and over that time I spent a lot of time grinding, and I kind of burnt myself out a little bit, so I needed to have a little bit of time off. But with 2 regionals and One Piece regionals last weekend, I had a lot of testing that I wanted to do so I could really do good, and well, for once, I can definitely say that all the hard work I put in actually paid off. So we'll obviously be 2 deck profiles, but today we're going through my Zamasu Mill deck profile. We took the Lord to an event. I actually seen people in a Facebook group, a big Facebook group for Dragon Ball, talking about how Zamasu is now dead because of this new red Vegeta, and well, I just said I'll change that today, and well, I actually didn't have to eat my own words for that. So we come top 8 with Zamasu, so really happy about it. So this deck is a bit different to my Nats list. Obviously the meta's a little bit different now, but for those that don't know what he does, when he attacks, he searches top 5 for any god cards, so super combos, 8 drops. You awaken at 4 or less, or if you have the Z Unison in play, you untap 1, draw 1, take down 6. So you're pretty much doing that every turn too, apart from the game where I played and Broly'd me, so I couldn't Z charge, and he didn't swing into me because I went first. He didn't swing into me, so I couldn't combo to get the Z charge, so I just had to gamble, and I didn't really have 2 combo cards in my hand to if he did Broly me, so I just had to live another turn. And it actually worked out well in the end because the pace of the game was really slow, and I wasn't able to let Vegeta get out of the gates, be real red hot, and it paid off in the end because we got the win against Vegeta. So when we're awakened, we got a permanent. We can use our Goku Blacks in the drop for our Union Tara, which is the deck definitely wouldn't operate well at all if it had to be from the field. But every time you play Zamasu with Evolve or Union, your opponent mills 1, and with the other guys milling 1, you're always making them mill 2. And then on attack, when it attacks, it gets 5k and it draws a card. It's not a once per turn, so you can use the 8 drop to restand it and swing 25. So it actually does become relevant into a 20k Unison, or into just a few bodies that you're trying to get off the board. So it does become pretty relevant. So we'll go through the list. I think an absolute must, obviously 4 and 4. You start with these. This guy, I really wish he could hit the 8 drop. If he could hit the 8 drop, I actually would have won my game that I lost, which was against Broly. I only had one Zamasu, one target left in my deck, and it was the 8 cost, so I couldn't search it with this. Where in theory, I didn't know that I had none left in deck because I found this in a search, and I opted to take this and hope that I could find another 5 cost, whereas I probably should have just taken this and just gambled on the top deck. We have drastically cut these Goku Blacks down. I was running 4 of these and 2 of the other one last time. I've kept 2 of this one in, and I've changed the Goku Black ratios because I've gone to the yellow variant as well. Shout out to a good friend Pete. He actually we were having a chat about it, and he was running me through why it could be a good pivot. And the more I thought about it, with red Vegeta being very, very heavy in the meta, I was starting to fear Broly Crown a little bit, and I remember seeing a bit of tech from Robert Reitz when he was here for Nats, and he was explaining why he teched so hard for Zamasu, and just a few of those things stuck in my head, and I thought I didn't want to end up just having set up for an Oceanus to get it ripped out with a Crown or some of these other cards. So I moved to the yellow package to play Nimbus. And so the one thing, I wasn't running this Zamasu last time, but when I tested against Vegeta, if you can't remove the 6-drop Z battle card, you're just going to lose your Zamasus really easy. And unless you Z charge these guys to be able to play these from your Z energy with your Unison, you kind of run out of Zamasus at some point. So I just wanted a few more Zamasus. Obviously I have a card in my sideboard that we will see that I had for dealing with it, and I didn't actually need to use it in the end. I only played 1 Vegeta, but I just didn't want to run out of Zamasus. So what we said, the yellow package, so we got this Goku Black, so we can pitch this for both Dormant and Nimbus, and if I ever need to, and I did need it in my last game because I actually had to kill my opponent because he was playing Golden Cooler and he was really, really smart. He did not use his leader effect to pitch and draw 2 once. So it got to a point where he had more cards left in deck than I did. So I was going to deck out before him, but I was able to kill him. And the way to kill him was getting him from 3 to 2, which was with this because he's crit. He's just a 1 cost, 20k. That's crit. So if you have a Zamasu on board, which we always do because we've got the unions, we can play him. And I was able to pair that with the Z extra card just to swing like 30k crit, and you just had to take it. So really good. A few times, like if you're going first and you don't open anything, but you've got this in your hand, it doesn't hurt to even pay 1 and combo it to get your Goku Blacks going. We needed our check land, so this was our check land, the Zamasu. There is obviously like a 7 cost that you can like evolve, which like would actually proc your leader, but you're never in a point where you want to use it. So this was only ever used as, I think I pitched it once for Nimbus, but every time I seen it, I just charged it. The first of our 5 drops, the Zamasu, Union Potara, draw 2. This actually goes in a lot of the Zamasu decks that are going around at the moment, and it's actually really good for them. 3 of this guy, because my list was running tight and I wanted to, like, I felt like I wanted to slim down 1 because this is the least used one, but really relevant into like Broly where they've got their Tapion unison. You swing into it, rip a marker, so you potentially get 2 markers out. So it is very situational, but it's probably the least favorite. This guy is the bread and butter, draws 2, mills them 2, gets a free combo. And the one thing to note too, if you are trying to push a little bit of pressure, is that it isn't specified what card is comboed. So if you Union Potara the Goku Black, you don't have to pay for the energy, so you can combo the Goku Black from underneath and you can swing 30k. So again, probably not really relevant, but if you do ever need to pressure like a body that's like 25k or whatever to get it off the board, this Zamasu comboing with this can actually be really helpful. And of course our big boy is this guy. Like, there was some games where I think I played 3 of these in one turn I think it was actually against my Vegeta, where I just had to mill him out his last 13 cards. I think it might have been. I think I played 2 of these in the last turn. So really good. So on play, he'll mill you 2 and the leader will mill you 1. Because the other thing that you do have to be wary of when you're playing against yellow is release from evil. Because if you swing with your leader and they release from evil you can't make them mill with your leader skill. So you just have to rely on these doing them 1. So you really got to think about it. If you swing first and you get released from evil, your turn's kind of a little bit dead. But I was lucky enough that I only got released from evil once, and it was sort of late on in the turn when I'd swung, so it didn't have any bearing on it. But this guy also has a skill which can be very relevant if it pairs with the SCR of choice, where you can take all the cards out from underneath, give a Zamasu 5k for the turn. And this did also actually help me win my game, because like I said, I had to kill my opponent. He was on 2. I was able to swing double for this, combo, untap it, swing it again for 25, and obviously push a lot of pressure. Our barrier removal, I really, really wish that green had like a generic way to deal with things with 1 cost. Obviously there was a new SR Freezer that was printed, but it's a successor of 9, which is just never happening in this deck without me investing multiple amounts of energy. But kept this in for my first game. They played the SS4 Annihilator, which made me like have to pay 1 extra for extra cards. I saw this in my opening hand, kept it, waited, we played it down, I swung, got rid of it, problem dealt. So it did its job, but yeah, you can't really sort of go without this. This is a new card that I personally really like. I don't know if this is like a Fusion World thing sinking into me, because like you can only get half the skill, but a lot of the time like you can run something like Goku's Kamehameha hard deflect, KO like a 4 cost. I'm not always too worried about that, because you generally have like a lot of removal with this Zamasu. Because there was actually, speaking of this Zamasu, there was a game where I'd had like a full stack of Union Potara targets, and I Union Potara into this. I think I had 4 cards underneath, and I Z-charged and KO'd 4 of my opponent's battle cards. So this could just be an instant board wipe if you have a big enough stack. So I just wanted like something that replaced itself, and this is just perfect because it negates the attack and it draws a card. It does untap a rival, a revived battle card, but I'm not playing any of that package, so I just like purely just to negate and draw a card, so you don't lose any cards in hand. So I think this card for this deck is really good, especially like if you've already like dormanted, pitched one for dormant, you're down 2 cards. Generally, you try and negate the next attack. So like instead of losing a 3rd card, you just negate and it replaces itself. Oceanus, like I said, I was worried about Broly Crown and just people being able to deal with it. So I went down to, I actually cut it, and then I really, I'd be lying if I said I was happy with Nimbus, but I just ultimately had to go back to this, and it come up a couple of times, but it didn't like win me games, but it just like stops the turn. 4 dormants, it keeps escaping the ban list. Please keep escaping the ban list so I can keep playing this deck. 4 Nimbus, because like I said, I changed it up. And most of the time I actually sided out one of the Nimbuses, because there was actually a lot of times where this got really cloggy in my hand. Like if dormant ever gets cloggy in your hand, you can obviously you can charge it or you can discard it with the dormant. With the Nimbuses, if you get 2 of these stuck in your hand and you haven't seen a check land, it's really annoying. You just have to hope that you Oceanus and you pitch it off an Oceanus, because you can't pitch it for dormant. Super combo ratio is the same, still 3-to-1 Hellas. I was at times contemplating whether I just go for the 4 Hellas, but I still think that for me personally, drawing 2 and then warping after with Paragus is a lot better. And of course, like I suppose, I'm just saying that like I did actually do this once. I did discard a Nimbus for it. It probably maybe would have been better suited to go to the Hellas if I was running the Nimbus, in case it got a bit cloggy, as it did, as I like haven't been. So 1 for the greater good. This was just like a little bit of tech that I seen last time. It's always like a oh shit button, because like you can always pitch it for dormant, so it's a no shit button. 2 testing, and then my SCR of choice this time was Vermilion Saiyans. I still would argue that this isn't the SCR for the deck, but when I did my last profile with Zamasu, I used Purunga, and I felt like Purunga was really energy heavy. I feel like anything over 1 energy play in this deck is energy heavy. And with Vegeta being the most present deck in the meta at the moment, just absolutely dominating events, and they are running the Broly that gives them black energy, I'm changed it up. I put the yellow in, so I've got 2 energy colors. My opponent is playing Vegeta, has 2 energy colors. So I get to warp 4 things and get a 20k bean if I warp 4 things. And Vegeta builds a very big board, and it caught my opponent off guard, my Vegeta opponent, because it just for 1 energy, it pretty much just buys you a whole turn. You can just not swing into their board the turn before, or not try and clear their board, and then when they swing on their first swing, you just pop this. They'll usually be swinging with something big, so you warp their big threat that's attacking them, and then you gain a 20k bean. So I was able to gain a 20k bean. And then if, for whatever reason, you have got the 8 cost out, you can pop the 8 cost to buff your leader by 5k. So you can essentially go to, a 40k base leader, and it's just pretty much they're not swinging over it. So it's actually come clutch, because I got Golden Cooler twice. Once I had, 13 cards in hand, so it actually really hurt. And this happened just to be a life rip off a token negate. And it was in my first game against Broly, where I did only have 6 cards in hand, so I was prepared for the Golden Cooler because I bigger moored him the turn before, but this just straight away just answers Golden Cooler the first time because it ignores barrier. So I think for this weekend, it was a great choice of SCR. You could definitely argue it's still not the right choice, but I think for now it was a perfect choice for me. It caught all my opponents off guard, and it didn't win me games, but it bought me another turn, which ultimately is what wins you the games, the longer the game goes. So side deck, shout out to Rowan. He loaned me 2 more of these because I was really struggling to figure out how you deal with the 6 cost SS4 rare that come out for Vegeta, and this literally answers it, because you have things that KO, like your Zamasu, your big 8 cost Zamasu, you need to stick a Zamasu for that to happen, and you can't do that with that card because they just keep jumping in and just KOing it, or sorry, negging it to 0. So we found this, and this I can do when my opponent has 2 more energy, so I can do it early game. If my opponent on like turn 2, they go first, they just slap it down and they're like, yep, we're set. So we can just respond with Gohan. And the great thing about Gohan is that it KOs it before the card is played, so it doesn't actually get its auto to be able to minus something. So this Gohan can freely come into play, KO the card, and then for whatever reason, if your Zamasu, like if your Zamasus and stuff, or any of your battle cards that you play, this just restands as a blocker. I don't think you ever want to use it for double strike, but being able to use an extra blocker, like that your opponent either has to answer or you get a free block out of it, which I think is really strong in this deck, because blockers in this deck are really good, because normally under Dormant it's hard to deal with, but this card was good. I ran 3 of them. I sided them in, I think, twice, and I actually didn't use it. 1 Meki Kabura. This is a little bit of like a weird sideboard because of just decks that might possibly happen, and at our Nats we had a Beerus Ramp, and Beerus Ramp is something that it's probably going to be a really hard matchup for me, so I just wanted like to space out my one-ofs. So I ran Broken Seal just to call out the 6-cost Vegeta, and just if there was any other matchups where I felt like I needed it, like in the mirror, like you can call 5-cost Zamasu so they can't Union Patara that turn. 1 Shin for like the Shadow Dragons so they can't like early aggress me with Shadow Dragons. 2 Bujan, in case I did actually see like a Kid Coup or something like that. There's like some other, and again in the mirror, like this is actually good in the mirror, because if you hold this, their first like interaction to play a Zamasu from their Z deck, you can just remove it with the Bujan and they don't get to start their chain that turn. 1 Yamcha cutting, again, like if they, it is a bit hard because you do mill them, but if you stick like a Yamcha and you're not milling them very much against like Beerus Ramp, and they try and untap, they want to untap the game with the Goku SCR in Beerus Ramp, they can't. Charismatic Villain, I was like trying to debate what other little one-ofs I wanted, and I put Charismatic in. It was nearly going to come up in 1 game, and I ended up opting not to do it, so the 1 game I used it, I ended up charging it because my Unison just died. 2 Big and More. Bought it in against, I know I bought it in against Broly, and it did stop him from Golden Coolering me because he would have been at 5 energy, so I just Big and Moored him, so he could have Golden Coolered me, but he just couldn't have attacked, so he wouldn't have got the value of it, so this helped me when it did. For Vegeta, I didn't play against any like decks that were going to run the ACOS Sin SR, the Omega SS4 SR to make me discard, and I played against a Broly extra card, so I sided these in, but I didn't need them in the end. So like I didn't really use my sideboard too much. I was actually pretty happy with how the main went into everything, so I think I got a pretty good breakdown of my ratios and whatnot, outside of obviously like the Gohan was just a straight swap for the 8-drop barrier removal. So overall I was actually pretty happy with how the deck was spaced out. We're going to the Z deck. 2 Z extra. Last time I used 2 and I used them a couple of times, but this time I didn't actually use them. I used it once to like swing the 30k crit, so I probably like would have been better off going down to 1 and playing 2 of this other Z Unison that I actually really like in this deck. So we play 3 Goasu, and like I said, I was worried about running out of Zamasu, so I went back up to 4 of these, and I'm actually playing 1 of these promo Trunkses, and the main reason is because it's a blocker. So like, there's no real barrier blockers in the game, and a lot of the time under Dormant you need something to protect yourself, and this just does it. So like, even if your opponent just swings like a single at you and you Dormant, you're like, oh, this is okay because I'll just let this one go through and I'll block whatever they throw at me. Or if you really need to like buy a turn and you've got a negate, so you got a negate and a Dormant, so you can Dormant, block, and then negate, and you just take no damage. So and there's not like a lot of Unison removal going around at the moment that's going to rip 3 markers off of this straight away. So the only thing is like yellow can rest it, so you probably just don't play it against yellow. But even then, it's like it's a kind of a bit hard to like get Unisons rested. I don't believe there's a lot of yellow stuff doing Unison resting. So I actually probably would have liked to have gone to 2 of these, because I think it did die in one of the games that I played, and I was like, man, I could really use another Trunks. Because generally, like, you play this out and you can play like 2 or 3 of these out. I think a game against Vegeta, I actually used 3 of these because I was running out of Zamasus, and these are 2 Z energy, whereas this is only 1, so you just play another Z Unison and then play this. So there was actually a couple of cases where I actually thought maybe a second one of these would have been better than a second one of these. So I don't know, that's my take on it. So that is going to be the end of the deck profile. I actually bubbled on a lot more than I thought I was going to. So massive shout out to my wife who actually come to the event, and she got 10th. Very unlucky not to have picked up a cereal, but obviously I finally got the job done. I stopped bobbling, won the last game, and I managed to get a cereal. So hope you guys have enjoyed the deck profile. Catch us all another one soon.